Good morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's workshop. So today I'm sharing a haul of something so precious that I purchased that I have to share it with you. At first I was wondering what this was because I know I didn't order this, and then I realized that it was a gift from the seller. And I think it's really sweet when I get a gift along with my purchase. And it's really adorable. It's some like little laser cut wooden pieces. So there's an Easter egg, a little heart, and a strawberry. So let me tuck this among my wooden pieces and get right to the haul. Now, dolls, you know now I am a seller on eBay under Little Gretchen's workshop, but I'm also an eBay shopper. And the thing is, I really wasn't in the market for anything at all. I just did a couple searches and these dolls came up, so I had to get them. I felt like when I saw them, I just need to bring them home. When I was a little girl and we went to the resale store, I would always go look at the dolls and find the one that looked like it needed to be rescued. Now, he's got like a little vest on and a shirt, and he's got something going on with his leg. So he's clearly going to need a whole new body, but I really love his face. Now, I was really happy when I realized that there were arms and legs included because there's supposed to be another doll in the box. So all of these arms and legs are for her. And now that I remember, that's one of the main reasons I bought them, because he was missing a leg and I feel like I can help him. Now, to me, these dolls look pretty old, and it's such a shame she was never assembled and dressed, but no worries, I'm going to handle all of that. I can't wait to dress her, add hair, and Gretchen her up. And I'm always inspired to work on beautiful dolls that just need a little tender love and care. It's going to be so much fun to make them look more expressive and add more character. I have so many ideas running through my head, I'm going to have to write them down. Assembling and dressing dolls is one of my favorite things to do, so I can't wait to get to it. But I'm going to maintain control and resist the urge because I have quite a few other dolls that need to be dressed as well, so I kind of want to work on them in a little series. And dolls, I kind of have this thing that when I purchase secondhand dolls, I like to look at them and kind of size them up to see who they really want to be. Sometimes it actually feels like they tell me who they are. So many times I actually feel like I'm just bringing forth what's already there. And it's a really funny thing because the same thing happens when I'm creating my dolls from scratch. I'll start working with the clay and then a face emerges. And little by little I work with them until I find out who they were always intended to be. All this talk about new dolls has got me thinking I haven't checked in a while at the rooming house. So let's take a peek and see what's happening among the dolls. Things were pretty quiet in the rooming house dollhouse community. After Pop and Miss Betty left for their honeymoon, the rest of Christmas was celebrated a little bit differently with the new routines with the new babies in the community. Aunt Charlotte and Uncle Barley weren't able to make the wedding because Aunt Charlotte was still recovering from her tough delivery. And although things seem really quiet and typical around the rooming house dollhouse, there is quite a bit going on below the surface. And in spite of the hush of Christmas Eve being upon the house, the parlor was still alive with the glow from the Christmas tree lights and the smoldering embers from the fire. A little while earlier, after the Christmas party and the wedding reception, little Tracy and Harper were up pretty late helping clean up after all the festivities. When they were done, Harper told Tracy that she would be upstairs with her and the rest of the girls in a little while. She just needed some time by herself. Now, Tracy was a little older than the younger girls, but she still didn't quite understand Harper. A lot of things were changing for Harper, and she really wanted someone to talk to, but she thought Tracy was too young to understand. When Harper got to the parlor, it was perfect. No one was there. It was warm. It was cozy. So she sat down in front of the fire to collect her thoughts. Other than the glow from the fire, the room was really dark, so she almost felt invisible until she heard someone step into the room. And at first, she thought it was a grown-up who would insist that she go to bed. And then she realized it was only Claude. When Claude saw her, he asked her why she was sitting in here in the dark. It was Christmas Eve. Why wasn't she in bed? She told him she had just got done working in the dining room, and besides, Christmas Eve isn't what it used to be when I was a little girl. It just seems like everything is changing. And when she said that, Claude said he understood what she meant because he felt the same way. She mentioned that she was really happy that her mom had met Pop and that they were married, and she was happy for her. She said, but just everything is so different. And then he started to talk about his sister Marguerite getting married and their family changing. When Harper realized that Claude knew exactly what she was talking about, she stood up. For the first time in a long time, Harper felt like someone finally understood. And they continued to talk right up till midnight. Just then, Claude stepped closer to Marguerite and took her by the hand and said Merry Christmas. Claude seemed different to Harper somehow. Harper smiled, and then she started to giggle. And before they knew it, they were both giggling and dancing, like they did over a year ago, the night Marguerite and SAIDI got married. And suddenly they stopped dancing and kissed each other. Meanwhile, in the back hallway, they didn't know little Tracy had just walked up to the door and saw them as they kissed. Right at that moment, little Tracy started to speculate whether Harper and Claude had been planning this evening all along. Tracy seemed to recall when the community was taking a picture outside the rooming house, she saw Claude and Harper look at each other and even giggle. Tracy wondered, how long has this been going on? Suddenly, Tracy began to recall how they laughed at Harper when her and Claude danced at the reception. But had there been a secret romance going on all this time and she just didn't know? Earlier that evening, Pop and Miss Betty, who is Harper's mother, got married and they were off to their honeymoon. Harper was under the care of Big Ma and Big Daddy until they returned. After the wedding, Christmas, and New Year's had passed, everyone was starting to get into their new routines. Miss Violet was very proud of herself because she was learning her baby and how to care for him without being nervous and stressed. With all the support of the other ladies in the house, her confidence was building as a new mother. Now that the long winter was over and spring was breaking, everyone was grateful that they had prepared ahead for the long winter and made sure that the cupboards were full. But now that spring has arrived, there's new food to be processed and preserved. And not to mention the men have been fishing regularly. Early one morning, Big Ma and Big Daddy were talking about all the things that need to be done because she had gotten another telegram that there were more dolls coming. Big Ma told Big Daddy that Miss Clara didn't want the room that they had offered her. She also reminded him that there would be a need for more beds. He told her not to worry, that everything would be taken care of. And he also reminded her that they already had an appointment with the county about some more property, and that he and some of the other men would be leaving town in a couple days, and they would be gone a few weeks to handle business. Back in the parlor, some of the residents of the community were trying to comfort Minister Sherman because his wife had been taken in for repairs and she hadn't come back yet. You see, Minister Sherman and his wife were porcelain, and his wife had fallen several times, and porcelain doesn't fare well when it falls. Everyone rallied around him to keep him encouraged, and the women of the dollhouse community had been very supportive to help him keep his little girls maintained while their mother was away. Meanwhile, on the second floor, right outside SAIDI's old bedroom, Aunt Vera and Miss Isabel were working on ideas to finalize the bedroom for new residents. At this point, they had had the men to remove the canopy bed they put in there for Miss Clara. Miss Clara rejected the room because she said it was too small. So the plan was to prepare it for Big Bo and Miss Fiona. Meanwhile, over at the Dress Shop Dollhouse, Aunt Bess had taken Big Bo, Miss Fiona, and Miss Clara up to her attic bedroom for them to consider it for lodging options. They needed a place to stay, and Aunt Bess saw an opportunity for more business. The room had more than ample space and a beautiful bed, but it was being used for storage for a lot of things for the dress shop. But Aunt Bess assured them that if they decided to accept the space, those things would be removed and stored somewhere else. They all agreed that the area was a charming space, but they asked her if she would mind if they talked it over for a few days and let her know. She agreed, but she reminded them not to wait too long because she had heard rumors that there were more dolls coming to the rooming house community. Aunt Bess agreed to give them 3 days to decide. After that, she wouldn't hold it any longer, and they agreed that that would give them ample time to decide. Aunt Bess scurried away to the room to get a document for them to sign to say that they agreed that 3 days was the deadline. After that, she's under no obligation to hold the room. Down in the kitchen that day, Aunt Janie was showing little Tracy how to cook. She was sharing with her some very basic steps to making certain dishes that were very popular and common among the dollhouse community. Little Tracy had been with Aunt Janie most of the day, and she talked almost non-stop, asking Aunt Janie lots and lots of questions. And although Aunt Janie was not a mother, she really loved children, and she didn't mind the questions at all. But the types of questions that little Tracy was asking made Aunt Janie think that she had something specific on her mind. Aunt Janie told little Tracy that she would call Big Ma and ask if she could stay for dinner, which would allow Aunt Janie some time to find out what was really on Tracy's mind. Across the street at the rooming house, some of the older girls were sitting on the floor, laughing, talking, and sharing secrets. And although Harper didn't mind them being in the room, she really wasn't interacting with them at all. She was laying on her bed thinking about Claude. She hadn't seen him much because the men had him working a lot. and then they took him with them when they went out of town. It was so odd that at one point she used to be annoyed at his presence, and now that she hasn't seen him in a while, she kind of misses him. When she got up to leave the room, she told the younger girls that she would be right back. When she left, she went in the bathroom and stood in the mirror for a long time. It was like she was trying to figure herself out. She's wondering why she keeps thinking about Claude. Ever since he kissed her on Christmas Eve night, she's just been thinking about him a lot, way too much. She had been thinking about him so much that she was a little bit annoyed with herself. On the third floor in the playroom, the boys were playing as usual. And they had more toys than they had ever had because Christmas had just passed. But despite all of that, some of them were still fixated on riding Eugene's bear. When Pop and Miss Betty returned to their new home after a brief honeymoon, Miss Betty was so excited to have her own home. She went right to work to try to make it as cozy as possible. She had never had a home of her very own, so this was very special to her. She told Pop how very happy she was, and Pop told her that he was happy as well. He had never been married. He never imagined he could be so happy. They had had a wonderful honeymoon, even though it was brief. They had enjoyed being alone and having an opportunity to really get familiar with one another. Not only had Miss Betty been making the house all cozy, she had been cooking up a storm everything that she knew how to make. And in spite of the fact that her kitchen wasn't fully stocked, she was capable of creating amazing meals with just a few ingredients. This was the night before some of the men left to go handle business, and Miss Betty had cooked a lovely dinner. And while Pop was relaxing, she placed a warm slice of sweet potato pie down in front of him with a cup of coffee. Pop told her he was really happy with what she had done to the house so far, and he told her he would leave some money available for her to do whatever she wanted to the house while he was gone, and that he wanted her to be happy and comfortable with their new home. After Miss Betty thanked him, she stood by adoringly and watched him eat his pie.